Men believe goodness is its own shield, that to be virtuous is to be safe, respected, and remembered. But history teaches a different truth, a crueler truth. Goodness without strength is powerless, and worse, it is dangerous to the man who clings to it. Consider the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. Men are not angels. They are creatures of appetite and fear. They admire goodness in others, but they do not obey it. They obey strength, authority, and necessity. A ruler who is only good, who depends on mercy and honesty in every action, becomes a feast for those who have no such restraints. He is like a dove among hawks. Admired, yes, but quickly devoured. You see, men praise what is noble, but they follow what is strong. They will speak well of kindness, of mercy, of honesty. But when they are pressed with hunger, with ambition, or with fear, they turn against the very man who gave them such gifts. The ruler who governs only through goodness has no defenses when betrayal rises, because his virtue has taught him neither suspicion nor cunning. He has shown mercy, but mercy has not taught him vigilance. He has practiced honesty. Honesty has not taught him strategy. He believes his goodness will inspire loyalty, but loyalty inspired by goodness alone is weak. It collapses at the first test of fear. Think of the man who lends his hand to all, who refuses to punish, who forgives every insult. Do men respect him? No. They exploit him. The more he gives, the more they demand, till nothing remains but his ruin. This is why Machiavelli warns a ruler cannot afford to rely solely on virtue. Goodness must be combined with strength, or it becomes the rope that strangles its master. Even in private life, we see the same truth. The good man who never resists, who always bends, is not admired for long. His neighbors grow bold against him. His rivals discover his limits. His friends take advantage of his silence. In time, he is neither loved nor feared. He is merely used. This is the hidden cost of unguarded goodness. It invites predators. Strength, on the other hand, changes the meaning of goodness. When a strong man is merciful, his mercy has weight because it comes from choice, not from weakness. His goodness is respected because all know he could have chosen otherwise. But when a weak man is merciful, his mercy means nothing, for it was never his to withhold. His goodness is seen not as generosity, but as necessity. He is kind only because he has no claws. This is why rulers who cling only to virtue rarely survive. Imagine a prince who seeks always to be loved, who shows mercy at every turn. His people will praise him in the open, but in the shadows they will conspire, for they know his kindness leaves him blind to treachery. A single ambitious rival, unburdened by such scruples, will seize his throne while the people stand by. They will mourn the good man briefly, and then they will serve the stronger one. For in politics, as in nature, it is not goodness that commands, it is strength. But let us not mistake strength for cruelty alone. Strength is the ability to act when others hesitate, the courage to do what necessity demands, even if it appears harsh. Goodness without this capacity is a liability, but goodness paired with strength becomes a tool of power. The ruler who can punish but chooses mercy gains true respect. The ruler who has no power to punish gains only pity, and pity is the weakest currency in the marketplace of power. History is littered with examples. Kingdoms have fallen because their kings were too merciful to strike at traitors. Generals have lost armies because they hesitated to enforce discipline. Leaders have been assassinated because they trusted in loyalty born of their kindness, blind to the knives hidden by those they trusted most. And yet, we remember with awe those rulers who combined the mask of virtue with the arm of strength. Those who could be merciful, but only because their enemies feared their wrath. So when you hear men praise the value of goodness, remember they speak from desire, not from truth. They wish the world were ruled by saints, but the world has always been ruled by lions and foxes. To be good without strength is to be harmless, and the harmless man does not survive long among the ambitious. The powerless good man is remembered not for his reign, but for his fall. He becomes the lesson whispered to his successors: do not be too merciful, do not be too trusting, do not mistake goodness for power. Every man desires to be praised, and every ruler longs for a reputation of virtue. It is said that to be known as merciful, honest, generous, or just is the greatest treasure a leader can hold. But what men call treasure may in truth be chains. Reputation, once fixed in the minds of others, becomes a prison, and the man who is known only for goodness finds that he has trapped himself in the very image he wished to create. Consider how fragile reputation truly is. It is not built on reality, but on appearances. Men do not see your heart, they see only what you allow them to see. They do not care for the truth of your intentions, only the performance of them. And so, when you cultivate a reputation for being good, the people around you demand that you always be good. They hold you hostage to their expectations, and should you act outside of them, even once, you will not only lose their trust but also their respect. Thus, the mask you wear becomes not a tool, but a cage. The trap is subtle. At first, the man who earns a reputation for kindness feels powerful. He is admired, spoken well of, but slowly, the weight of that admiration turns into expectation. His subjects, his allies, his rivals all whisper, he would never be cruel, he would never deceive, he would never betray. And in that whisper lies the seed of his downfall. For once others believe you incapable of harshness, they will dare against you what they would never dare against another. Think of the generous ruler. At first, his gifts win him affection. The people cheer his name, nobles gather at his table, and he is praised as a man of great heart. But generosity, when it becomes expected, breeds contempt. The people demand more. The nobles grow greedy. And when the ruler cannot give, he is called a miser, a traitor to his own image. The reputation he sought has enslaved him, for he can no longer act with freedom. He must give, even when it weakens his state. He must pardon, even when it invites rebellion. He must smile, even when it invites betrayal. This is the cruelty of reputation. It does not belong to you once it is born. It belongs to the people who enforce it. They decide what you are allowed to be. If you are known for kindness, you will be condemned the moment you are severe. If you are known for honesty, your first lie will ruin you, even if that lie was necessary to save your throne. If you are known for mercy, your first execution will stain you as a tyrant. In this way, reputation is not a crown but a collar placed around your neck. Machiavelli warns us of this illusion. He tells us that it is better to control appearances than to be enslaved by them. A wise ruler knows when to wear the mask of virtue and when to remove it. He does not let others dictate his role. He shows mercy when it strengthens him, but hides the knife for when necessity calls. He speaks honesty when it wins him trust, but cloaks his tongue in deception when truth would destroy him. Reputation for him is not a trap but a tool, because he does not cling to it as his identity. He uses it, bends it, reshapes it as the times demand. But the man who seeks to be truly known as good, who desires reputation not as a mask but as his essence, is doomed. His every action must align with the expectations of others, and thus he is no longer free to act according to necessity. He cannot punish, for they expect mercy. He cannot conceal, for they expect truth. He cannot strike, for they expect forgiveness. He becomes predictable, and predictability is the ruin of power. His rivals know exactly what he will do, because they know what he must do to preserve his image. They will exploit this, and when the time comes, they will destroy him with the very reputation he cherished. In politics, reputation is like a sword. In the hands of the skilled, it cuts the enemy. In the hands of the foolish, cuts the master himself. To be known only for goodness is to hand your enemies a map of your weaknesses, a list of your limitations, and a guarantee of your responses. It gives them certainty in a world where uncertainty is power. The ruler who is feared no man dares predict. The ruler who is cunning no man dares assume, but the ruler who is only good every man can manipulate, for he has announced to the world that he will never do what they do not expect. Mercy is praised in every book, sung in every poem, and spoken of as the highest virtue of the noble soul. Men bow their heads to the merciful ruler. They speak of him as a father, as a saint, as a light among the darkness of tyrants. But when rebellion rises, when treachery festers, when enemies circle like vultures, that same mercy which earned him praise becomes the very dagger that cuts his throat. Mercy and survival stand at odds, and every ruler must decide which he values more. To forgive when you should punish, to show compassion when you should strike. This is to invite your own destruction. The people will not protect you for your mercy, they will abandon you to the wolves. For men admire mercy in speech, but they fear strength in reality. A merciful ruler is beloved until his kindness endangers the people's safety, and then the same mouths that once praised him will curse him for weakness. Consider the general who refuses to discipline his soldiers. He wishes to be merciful, to spare them from the rod. At first, the soldiers praise him, calling him just, but in battle, their undisciplined ranks break, and they flee. The enemy slaughters them, and the survivors turn their blame not upon themselves but upon their leader. His mercy has ruined them. His survival ends where his compassion began. Now consider another general who enforces strict discipline, who punishes swiftly, even harshly. His men fear his wrath, yet they obey. When the enemy comes, they hold the line. They survive, and their survival transforms their fear into respect. In time, they even call him merciful, for though he was cruel to the few, he saved the many. This is the paradox of power. Cruelty, when measured, can become true mercy, and mercy, when misplaced, can become cruelty to all. The same truth holds in governance. Imagine a prince who forgives traitors, who pardons conspirators, who spares those who raise arms against him. He believes he has secured their loyalty through generosity. But a man who betrays once will betray again, for he has tasted the fruit of disobedience without swallowing its punishment. Worse still, others will see the prince's mercy as an invitation. If treason carries no cost, then rebellion becomes a game, not a crime. His mercy, intended to preserve harmony, becomes the seat of endless unrest. Now imagine the prince who responds differently. When rebellion stirs, he strikes hard and fast. He makes examples of traitors, not with pleasure but with necessity. His cruelty terrifies others into obedience, and peace follows. The people may whisper that he is harsh, but they sleep safely under his reign. Their children grow, their fields flourish, their homes are secure. And in their hearts, they know that his severity protected them far more than another man's mercy ever could. This is the cold truth Machiavelli revealed. Mercy cannot be divorced from survival. Mercy without calculation is ruinous, but cruelty, wielded with intelligence, becomes the foundation of order. Men will always call the ruler who spares lives merciful. They will only obey the ruler who secures their survival, even if his methods are cruel. The difficulty lies in timing. Mercy at the wrong moment is poison. Cruelty at the right moment is medicine. The wise ruler knows when to withhold forgiveness and when to use fear to keep peace. He understands that survival demands sacrifices, and sometimes those sacrifices are not his enemies alone, but his reputation for virtue itself. For it is better to be called cruel and endure than to be called merciful and destroyed. The world admires the merciful leader in stories, but in history it is the ruthless survivors who build empires. Alexander Caesar, Caesar Borgia, none of them are remembered for their mercy, yet they are remembered. Their names endure because they understood that survival cannot rest on kindness alone. Mercy was a choice they could afford only when their power was secure. When power was threatened, mercy was put aside, for the preservation of the state outweighed the image of the ruler. But let us look closer, even at ordinary men, not only princes. The man in private life who forgives every insult, who never responds to aggression, soon discovers that he is not respected but mocked. His mercy is read as weakness. Those around him grow bolder in their insolence. He becomes a target for exploitation, for men assume he will never strike back. Yet the man who responds once with decisive severity earns freedom from endless conflict. He may be called cruel in that moment, but he gains peace thereafter. This is why mercy must be measured, not given blindly. It is not enough to ask whether an act is good, one must ask whether it preserves survival. For survival is the first law of power, and goodness that endangers survival is not virtue, it is folly. The ruler who shows mercy without strength is not admired in the end. He is pitied, and pity does not save thrones. The man who punishes when needed may be condemned in words, but in silence he is obeyed, and obedience is the lifeblood of survival. There is a cost to every choice, and the cost of excessive goodness is hidden, but it is never absent. Men imagine that goodness will buy them safety, that mercy will secure them loyalty, that generosity will purchase love. But these rewards are illusions, and the true cost of goodness is measured not in coin, but in power and freedom, and in survival itself. The ruler who clings too tightly to goodness pays first with authority. Authority is not given, it is taken and preserved by fear, respect, and necessity. When a prince chooses to be merciful at all times, to forgive rather than punish, his authority begins to decay. His subjects no longer fear his justice, and when fear vanishes, respect soon follows. They see not a leader, but a servant of their desires. They obey not his command, but only their own appetites, knowing his kindness will protect them from consequence. In this way, goodness steals from him the very foundation of rule, the unquestioned right to command. The second price is freedom. The man who binds himself to goodness finds that he cannot act outside of it. He becomes trapped by the image he has created. If he has always been merciful, he cannot suddenly be severe without shocking his people. If he has always been generous, he cannot suddenly deny them without earning their hatred. His freedom of action is stolen by their expectations. He is no longer master of his choices, but a prisoner of the reputation he built with his own hands. And what is worse, his enemies know this. They know what he will and will not do, and in this knowledge lies his defeat. A ruler who cannot act freely cannot rule at all. Power rests not only on the strength of armies, but on the freedom to choose without constraint. The third price is survival itself, a man who will not be harsh when harshness is needed, who will not deceive when deception is required, who will not strike when survival demands blood, places his life and his state in peril. History is filled with rulers who were beloved for their kindness, but who perished because of it. Their thrones taken, their crowns broken, their people ruled in the end by stronger and less merciful hands. And the people, Though they wept briefly for their lost gentle prince, soon adapted to the rule of the ruthless, because survival matters more than virtue. But there is another, darker cost of goodness that few consider. Excessive virtue breeds corruption, not purity. The ruler who refuses to punish wrongdoers encourages wrongs to multiply. The one who pardons traitors teaches betrayal to spread. The generous ruler who cannot deny his subjects teaches them greed. By being too good, he becomes the cause of his people's downfall, for his virtue removes the fear that keeps men disciplined. What begins as goodness becomes injustice, not through his intention, but through its effect. For men, unrestrained, are not noble. They are selfish, ambitious, and dangerous. Without the boundaries of fear, they devour each other, and then devour the state. Thus, the ruler who wished to be good becomes the author of great evil. Machiavelli teaches that a prince who seeks to be only good will come to ruin among so many who are not good. This is the hidden price. The world does not reward purity, it consumes it. To stand unarmed with virtue in a world armed with ambition is to invite destruction. Those who are cunning will take advantage of the merciful. Those who are ruthless will exploit the generous. Those who are fearless will strike at the honest. And the man who thought goodness would shield him finds instead that it has painted a target on his back. The hidden price also lies in legacy. A ruler who falls because of his excessive virtue is not remembered as noble, but as naive. His reign is not celebrated for his goodness, but pitied for his weakness. His name becomes a lesson whispered to successors: do not be too kind, do not be too merciful, do not let goodness blind you to necessity. His legacy is not virtue, failure. And failure is the harshest price of all, for history does not forgive those who fall, no matter how good their intentions. Even in the lives of ordinary men, same law holds. The man who is too good, too forgiving, too yielding, discovers that his goodness costs him dignity. He bends so often to others that he no longer stands upright. He sacrifices his own freedom for the comfort of others, till he lives not for himself but as a tool for those around him. His kindness becomes expected, then demanded, and at last exploited. He finds himself surrounded by those who take, and abandoned when he himself has nothing left to give. His goodness has cost him his strength, his independence, and his peace. This, then, is the hidden price that the world does not balance itself according to virtue, but according to power. To be excessively good is to surrender authority, to lose freedom, to forfeit survival. What begins as a crown of praise becomes a chain of weakness. What is admired in words becomes despised in deeds. And though men speak of goodness as priceless, in truth, it demands a cost so heavy that few who pay it ever rise again. Know you see the hidden truth that few dare to admit. Goodness, on its own, is not salvation. It is a weakness the ruthless exploit. A man who depends only on virtue becomes prey for wolves, enslaved by his reputation, blinded by misplaced mercy, and crushed beneath the hidden price of his own intentions. Machiavelli warns us, it is not enough to be good. It is not enough to be merciful. It is not enough to be admired. To survive in a world ruled by fear, ambition, and betrayal, one must learn to wear virtue as a mask, not as a chain. Show mercy only when it strengthens you. Guard your reputation, but never let it imprison your freedom. And above all, remember that power is not preserved by goodness. It is preserved by the strength to act against goodness when necessity demands. The shocking cost of goodness is not merely weakness. It is ruin. And only those who dare to balance virtue with ruthlessness, mercy with severity, the mask with the claw, can escape the fate that devours the pure.